we won't back down. So yes, we'll stand our ground. We won't be pushed around. We must keep you from putting our kids in the ground. So we can't stand down. No, we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't stand down, brother. So we'll stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. 'Cause we know what's right. And we got plenty of fight. And if you think you're gonna keep pushing us around, well, you'll lose that crown. 'Cause we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. You know, it's pretty clear. If these lunatics think they have the right to strip us of our rights of self-defense, and if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. No, we won't back down. Back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. So we won't back down. No, we won't back down. Virginians, you won't fight this fight alone.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful day.
Yeah, I didn't. I went shooting yesterday when it was beautiful. It's very nice today.
Yeah,
How you
my
doing?
son, we got to go to the range today, shoot a little bit of pistols and rifles. So good day.
Yeah, very relaxing when you do that. How you doing, Al? Oh, you're muted. See if you're muted. I'm not hearing you.
Is that better?
There
That
you
is
go.
better.
Yeah, much better. You sound louder. Maybe you're enunciating better.
Well, I'm doing well. I think we've had a good weekend. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the first virtual meeting with you guys.
Yeah, and we got somebody checking in from Ballard's Branch. I'm not sure where that is. I'll have to look on the map.
Yep.
But they've got a downtown, so we know that.
Yeah, well, I call where I live downtown Beaver Dam because we have a stop sign. So
Yes, you do. And train
and a post
tracks. I mean, it
office.
doesn't get. So are you on the right side of those tracks or on the wrong side?
Oh, definitely on the right side of the tracks. Yep. So we do have a Facebook user asking when is the next big rally, and that depends on you guys. We hold the rally every year on Lobby Day, which is always on MLK, Martin Luther King Day. And
Third
yeah,
Monday.
I know it's cold. We'd love to have it in warm weather, but the General Assembly's not in session in the summertime as a general rule. So that's why it's in January, because the session is just starting. All of the bills have pretty much dropped, and we know what we need to work on for the year.
Absolutely, yeah. We're gonna. And let me see if it's on our list here. I might have forgotten to put it on here. No, I did put it on here. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it a little bit later. We got a picnic coming up, So they haven't done one of those in a while, thanks to COVID and a variety of other things. So we got a celebration coming up in Winchester. We'll talk about that.
Yep. And we
Um,
also have somebody joining us from Illinois.
all right,
Wants to
my
point
home
out
state.
they have Gun Saves Lives in Illinois currently fighting hard against the burgermeisters and assault weapon laws. So
Yeah, uh, yeah, it's a singular. We say gun saves lives. They have gun save life or lives. And yeah, they're a very active group. They have a very nice newspaper. Yeah, that was my birth state of Illinois. And they did the Burma shave thing in Illinois, where you're driving along and you see one sign and you keep reading as you're going, and all for gun rights. I've seen several of those when I was visiting up there. So yeah, they seem to be a really, really good organization from what I saw, and they're the very professional newspaper style newsletter that they do, or at least that they did when I was watching them more closely a few years ago.
yep, I wish you guys luck in your fight for gun rights there, because my daughter lives in Missouri, and the short way to get to her is through Illinois. So I can carry all the way out except Illinois. So
Well, what you
uh,
can do, Pat, in Illinois is as long as you have a permit from the state you live in and you don't leave the car, you can carry concealed in the car. So it's a peaceable journey. So
mhm.
once you hit Illinois, as long as you don't take the gun out of the car and you've got a Virginia permit, you can at least drive through. I wish Maryland had done that years ago. I mean, Illinois
Yeah,
beat Maryland and New York and California and New Jersey. So as anti-gun as they were, they did a few things right. So, but yeah, they've got a fight on their hands, but the Constitution is suddenly awoken, and the Supreme Court has breathed life into the Second Amendment. So, in
yeah,
fact, Illinois was forced to do what they did with gun rights back, I guess it was 7 or 8 years ago, by their Supreme Court that said, do something, or we're going to basically turn off all the gun control in Illinois, and people can carry open or conceal without a permit. That got the General Assembly's attention. Finally, the last state of the union to get permits was Illinois, but they had their arm twisted firmly behind their back. It was a joy to see. It really was. I got a big kick out of watching them having to do that.
yeah. It's a darn shame though that you have to go through these patchworks of laws. I mean, in Virginia, we have, for the most part, the localities can't pass stricter laws than state law. But when you go from state to state, it's mind boggling the difference in the laws. Which states do you have a duty to inform? Which states don't? Which states can you carry in your car if you don't get out? Which states do you have to have a permit? Which ones are constitutional carry? Can you carry in banks? I mean, the Second
Yeah.
Amendment doesn't say all of these restrictions. It says shall not be infringed.
Yeah, like when we go to North Carolina, they don't say, "Hey, your free speech doesn't cover talking about cows. So if you talk
Mhm.
about cows, we're going to take away your freedom." What? I mean, that's how lunatic this really is. And every state, the states that have the looser laws, don't have any problems at all. But they keep, like, for example, we never had a problem with anybody carrying in a government building in Virginia. Lawfully carrying in an area that wasn't a gun-free zone that we could carry in. General Assembly never had a problem. The Capitol didn't have a problem, and so forth. And the only problem we had was when they had a gun-free zone and an employee came into Virginia Beach with the city and shot up that thing. But yeah, to other states, oh no, we can't let anybody carry in the General Assembly. Like, why? It works in Virginia. Why? It's all stupid, and none of it is really there, as we know, to make anything any safer. It's merely to disarm us step by step, inch by inch. We have to keep
And
resisting.
by the way, that's our building.
It
The
is. You
taxpayers own
bet.
that building, not the
Yes.
lawmakers.
They're just temporary renters, if they, whatever you want to call them. They're just temporary.
They're employees.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are
Even
our
better.
employees. We sent them there to do a job, not to boss us around.
Yeah.
So,
And you gotta convince them of that. A lot of times they think they're kings and queens up there.
yep.
Um, well, I got a
So,
few things on. Go ahead. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, just Michael says that Ballard's Branch is a true geographical location and not on any current map,
Oh,
and stems from circa 1750s. So,
so
uh,
approximately where is it, Michael?
yeah, post in the
I assume it's somewhere south of
comments.
Illinois and north of Florida.
Yep. Anyway, on to our agenda, so we're not like running way over tonight.
Yeah,
Where do you
okay.
want to?
I've got a few items. I kind of go down here. Um, uh, Speaking about other states, California, um, the governor of California, who almost got kicked out. They did a recall on him, and he survived it. But it's not too often that you get enough votes and enough people angry to actually get a recall rolling. They had one on this guy, and he truly deserved to be recalled. He's horrible on all everything you could imagine. He's bad on all of it. But he now wants to create a 28th Amendment. And he says, oh, we're not going to touch the Second Amendment, but we're going to create the 28th Amendment that's going to allow us to do gun control. And we're not going to do all kinds of gun control, just certain kinds. So, for example, they might say, well, we're going to ban, quote unquote, assault rifles. Well, then later on, they could define that to be anything they want and basically ban every gun, you know? And so forth and so on. Does that have a chance of going anywhere? No. To amend the Constitution is a huge, huge thing. You have to get, I think, 3/4 of the states to agree to it, and so you got to have votes in all those states, and 3/4 of them have to say okay. Considering that over half of the country is now shall issue, or is either shall, well, the whole country's shall issue, but over half of it is constitutional carry. What do you think the odds are that the state's going to go, oh yeah, we just got our rights here, let's throw them away? I don't think so. So I think this is somebody that wants to run for president, on the Democrat side, and he's trying to get his little name out there in a good way for a change in his mind. It's a bad way, as always, from our point of view. So that's one thing that's cooking out there. It's not going anywhere, but it tells you something. Again, when they say over and over, "Oh no, we don't want to take your guns." No, we don't want to take your guns. Yes, they do, and every now and then they admit it, like this: "We want to take your assault rifles from you." That's taking your guns. I don't know what they think taking your guns is, but that's taking your guns.
So we don't want to take them all. We just want to take the ones we deem as scary.
Yeah, so you can have a blunderbuss, maybe, assuming that you don't carry it loaded in public or something. That's
Or,
that's where we're headed.
or the Second Amendment applies to muskets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
blunderbuss, muskets. You can have those, um,
yeah,
but we don't want
flintlocks.
your guns. They lie through their teeth, so we accept that. What they say isn't what they mean. We accept that, but for the newcomers out there, that's the lesson you got to learn. Do not believe the anti-gunners any more than you can throw them. Whatever they say, it's not going to be like that. If they don't want your guns, they really want your guns. That's just the way it is. It's a fight that I wish we could end. It's all stupid. Leave my rights alone. You don't like guns? Don't buy a gun. Feel free not to own guns. Put up a sign in your yard. There's no guns in this house. Do that. Knock yourself out. Show your pride in your anti-gunness, whatever you want to call it. Tell everybody you meet that you're helpless. You have no guns. I would respect you more if you would do something like that. But of course they don't. They figure they can call somebody with guns, which is the police. I'm going to skip the review I'm going to do. I'll come back to that towards the end. And in Richmond, we had a sad shooting. It was during a graduation. It was actually after the graduation. They had just finished the graduation, and people were accumulating in a park, which is by the city of Richmond's ordinance, a gun-free zone. So they were all in a gun-free zone. So, the city thinks they're safe. All of us on this conversation are going, oh my God, I hope everybody's okay. Well, no, it didn't work out okay. They had a drive-by shooting, and the guy was shooting wildly. He killed the guy he wanted to kill, but he also killed the guy's stepfather and wounded another, I think, 5 people. And then another 7 were hurt as they were fleeing from the scene. One little girl got hit by a car. trying to get out of there. Everybody panicked and all that. That was in a gun-free zone. That was good old Richmond. These gun-free zones were going to lower crime. Yeah, sure they were. And of course, the first thing that happens is, oh, we've got to do something about those guns. Let's not worry about the fact that there's somebody out there that was shooting people. Oh no, it's the guns, man. It's the guns. And it's the same old thing. We get tired of it. Our lieutenant governor got in front of the cameras, Winston Sears, and she wasn't having any of that. There's a video of her. I'll probably have that. I'll have a link in the next alert on this of what she said. But basically, she came out and said, "Who's in charge here? Who's running the show in Richmond?" Because it doesn't seem like the mayor's running the show. It doesn't seem like the police are there. How are these things happening? Why is the crime rate going up? Since 2019 or 2020. Well, that's of course when they started banning guns everywhere in Richmond, which is going to drive the crime rate up. But she was mad, and she was justifiably so. I think all of us have had it with this stuff. Certainly have had it with, well, some never do well just killed somebody, so we all need to give up our guns. That's like your drunk driver running over somebody and everybody having to get new restrictions on their driver's license because that one idiot down the street had to drive drunk. It's baloney, but again, it's the march towards disarming us. And they look for every opportunity. If it means dancing in the blood of dead people, including kids, they love to dance in it because the gun control crowd can then push their agenda. And they proved it again with this. It just goes on and on, but we need to push back. I pushed back a couple times in the press on this. And as did Winsome. So, good for her. I'll put that video and you can watch what she said. And of course, the other side got all upset. Oh, these people haven't even been buried yet. Well, the other side was already digging into this, but it's okay when they jump in. It's not okay when the pro-gun side did. And also, I will note that probably Winsome Sears is considering a run for governor. I don't know that. I mean, she hasn't announced anything, but it's quite likely. She's very popular. And of course, that would mean that the other side would want to tear her down now as much as they could. So they're looking at anything to try to minimize or push her out of the picture. So let's see, what else can we talk about? Well, yesterday, for those of you that have never made one of these Roanoke Rifle and Revolver Club / VCDL benefit shoots, you're really missing something. These things are a blast. We should have some video up for a change. That way you can kind of see some video on this. In fact, that reminds me, I've got to get some video off to Mark Ching. He wanted that. He's going to put together some kind of a collage on that event. He was out there, and he asked those of us that had video, had our cell phones, if we took any good video to share it with him. I need to do that. But it was a lot of fun. The people, I'm amazed at just how many really good shooters we have in Virginia. I mean, I'm lucky if I come in the middle of the pack, and I consider myself to be a pretty darn good shot. But boy, some of these guys, of course, they do IDPA a lot. I don't. I do it once a year at this event. I probably should start doing it more. It's a great experience. You learn a lot from practicing this stuff and doing scenarios and stuff. You learn to think how to do things, and that's good. The more you can do that, the better. So if you've never done an IDPA shoot, I would recommend you do it and learn the rules. The rules are a little different than some of the other types of matches. You gonna say something?
Yeah, for those that aren't familiar, IDPA stands for International Defensive Pistol Association, and it's a pistol sport, obviously, and you draw from concealment and shoot. Each stage is a different scenario. So you walk up to the line and the safety officer says, okay, when the buzzer goes off, to get ready, you load your gun and your magazines, you put them in your holster, and you may have a thing where you're holding onto something over your head like you're standing on the subway. And when the buzzer goes off, you have to turn around and draw your gun and shoot 3 bad guys and not shoot the good guys that are standing there. And you're supposed to shoot the closest threat first. If there is some sort of cover, you're supposed to move to cover and take advantage of any sort of hard cover that is in that particular scenario. But each stage is different, and the lowest time is the winner, but accuracy also counts. So if you're
Yeah.
outside of the zero ring, you get time added to your score. So tons of fun, great adrenaline rush. And it also trains your mind to think about certain things if you ever are in a defensive situation. Where is cover? What is the most immediate threat? That sort of thing.
How do I
So,
slice the pie? How do I not
right,
stick out beyond cover and expose myself to somebody who's closer to
right.
me? And so you slowly slice the pie, looking for the first bad guy, and then you keep moving. The other thing is some of this stuff is very creative. They've got some where you've got a steel popper, just a piece of steel sitting up, and you hit that with one of your rounds, and when that drops, all of a sudden a cardboard target starts swinging like this, and it's
Mm-hmm.
only visible just for part of that arc, like maybe in this area. So you have to shoot it while it's up, going back and forth like this, and try to hit it
Right.
when it's down in that arc. That's an example. There was a scenario where you're sitting in a bathtub, and next to you is a table where your gun and ammunition is, and then the buzzer goes off, and then you have to engage different targets at different ranges. And again, they do these non-shoot targets. So you've got these cardboard targets that are the bad guys, and then you have cardboard targets that might be right in front of partly in front of them or off to the side of them, and it's got two hands like this, and that means it's a innocent person, and you
No
get
shoot.
major
Yeah.
points off. A no shoot, you get major points for hitting that. You don't want to hit the good guy. But it is, yeah. And the thing I love about this, Pat, is again, I say it over and over. You cannot meet nicer people than gun owners. We do this match, and people will clap for the other guys. The competitive thing is really with yourself. Darn it, I could have
Absolutely.
done better. Or you may tease somebody for kicking your tail. I did a lot of teasing that way because I got my tail kicked a lot by some of these guys. But it was all fine. They were great people. We all had fun. Everybody smiled. Nobody was upset when they didn't do the best they could, except at themselves. And even then, everybody
Yeah.
laughs and has a good time. I just, if you've never done this, yeah, it's something you need to do at some point. Put that on your bucket list.
Yeah. So, I mean, you talk about gun owners being great people. Steve was shooting an IDPA stage one time, and before the stage, he had got to talking and he didn't load all his mags all the way. And the safety officer was Anton Kothi and happened to be shooting a 1911 also, and pulled the mag out of his mag pouch and handed it to Steve so he could finish the string.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how nice of people there are in these.
absolutely,
It's just,
absolutely. And Odie Dillon's asking when the next match is. Well, I mean, this is something that I want to talk over with the board. We may want to do one of these, find some other ranges to host us. I mean, that Roanoke Rifle and Revolver Club is an incredible club all the way around. Not only do they have great facilities, they are one of the few ranges clubs in Virginia that says, hey, you don't have to be a 100% NRA member. You can be NRA if you want, but if you're a VCDL member, you can be a member of our club. All these clubs require you to be a member of a gun rights group. And that makes a lot of sense. But Roanoke Rifle and Revolver has gone a step further. So yeah, absolutely, you can be a member of VCDL. That's sufficient. That's absolutely
yeah,
wonderful. But we can look at some of these other ranges, see if we can find a range, maybe in Tidewater in Richmond in Northern Virginia, to host a similar match.
sure.
I would do the IDPA thing. So I'm going to try and check into that. I need to find somebody who could head something like that up for us and do the legwork, sort of take charge of that, and then work with the board to arrange this. So I mean, always looking for volunteers for things, and that would be absolutely great. Um,
So, Odie, you can go to idpa.com and they will list matches in different states. I know there's a monthly match at Ravenna Rifle and Pistol Club. There's one at Cavalier Rifle and Pistol Club. I think there's still one at Black Creek. There used to be a monthly match, or sometimes there were weekly matches up at the range in Stafford. It's called The Range. And the range down in Chesapeake. What did they call themselves? They used to do a monthly match, and a lot of these ranges will also do like little friendly trophy matches. Um, so there's a whole list of them on the IDPA website, and you do have to join IDPA if you're going to shoot the matches on a regular basis. But that money helps to support the organization as well, just like your membership dues in VCDL help us to fund the lawsuits fighting for your rights here in Virginia, and to lobby every year at the General Assembly for your rights. So,
but it's fun. It's worth the membership.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing this regularly. And I'm going to look around too. The range where I shoot at every weekend, they have an IDPA match. It's always early in the morning for me, and I'm an hour and a half away, so I'm not a morning person. So I'm going to have to get myself up early and go to some of those matches and really practice the IDPA. So next year I can really smoke it. Yeah, we have a question from Odie. He's asking about Representative Spanberger, who's been pushing gun control. One of these. Oh, I was worked in the government, and I respect our Second Amendment rights. Oh yeah, lady. Well, why don't you show it to us how you respect it? Because all I see is gun control coming out of you. I haven't seen you support anything that isn't gun control. So I would like to see her answer that question. What can we do about her? Well, elections are in 2 more years. She just got elected, so she's in there for 2 more years. You don't like her.
Yeah, hopefully redistricting will bite her, and
it didn't bite her this time.
No, but
she's already
yeah, we'll see. So
we'll see, but that's what you got to get her out of there. You got to get hopefully somebody else will run, and because she's bad news.
Yep.
Let's see.
So what about the Third Circuit decision?
Yeah, the Third Circuit has ruled that just because you have a felony for a nonviolent misdemeanor, that does not take away your Second Amendment rights permanently. And hallelujah, hallelujah to that. They're talking about minor. Well, felonies in a long time ago when I was growing up, a felon was a truly bad dude. I mean, this was somebody that murdered, raped, or robbed, or beat somebody to a pulp, changed their lives forever. That was a felon. When you saw a felon and they were a felon, you knew this was somebody that was absolute total bad news. Over the years, on getting tough on crime, Republicans and Democrats have kept making more and more things felonies. Again, I give the classic example. You pick up by mistake a bald eagle feather when you're walking through a field and somebody catches you with that. That's a felony. There are lots of things like that. So, hey, man, so what are you doing time for? I picked up a bald eagle feather. What? There you go. So there goes your gun rights because you picked up a stupid feather, okay? And there's a lot of things like that. It's all gotten out of control. Our law books. I don't think our founding fathers wanted our law books to be maybe this thick. Ours are that big for the state. Much less the whole country. So
yeah, I suggested to my delegate that for every law they pass, they should repeal 2. I said you need to pass a law that says for every law you pass, you have to repeal 2. And he said, "Oh, we can't do that." I'm like, "Why not? There's so many useless laws on the books."
Oh, I guarantee it. There are laws. I know other states have this too. I think there's like Pennsylvania's got one where every mile you drive in a motor car, you're supposed to stop and fire a flare into the air, and then drive another mile and fire another flare. Who knows? That was back horse and buggy days, maybe, or however whatever they made you fire a flare. It's still on the books, I think, unless they've taken it off over the last few years. Virginia's got some odd things. I think we had a yellow bus thing. If you're driving a bus and it's yellow, it better be a school bus or you could be charged a misdemeanor. So anyhow, what the court said was, no, your rights are not permanently taken away because you have a nonviolent misdemeanor. Now that's in the Third Circuit, and I'm sure that's going to cause a lot of people to apply to get their rights back in the Third Circuit. What is Third Circuit is up? Is that like Pennsylvania? I'm not sure off the top of my head. It's north of us. Um, anyhow, let's see. Okay. I thought maybe somebody was going to list the county. But anyhow, it's in the Third Circuit. So that's a good start. That's one of many, many places around the country where laws are starting to change for the better. And again, some of you may be new to this whole argument. Say, well, he's a felon. He shouldn't. Why are we letting him carry a gun? Again, here's the deal. If you are penalized, if you are put through the system, if you have to go to jail, if you have to give up, thousands of dollars in penalties and fines, if you have to do public service, whatever it is, the court makes you do, the whole idea there, it's a form of penance, if you will. You are repaying the state, repaying the country, the people around you for your bad deeds that you were convicted of. But once you paid your debt, you should get your rights back. And for these violent ones, if you're still violent, they should keep you in jail as long as they can till you're not violent anymore. As long as you're violent. That way we wouldn't have to worry about guns getting into the wrong hands. If the violent people are 99% of them are in jail, and those that aren't in jail yet, when they're caught, they go to jail. They're not a problem anymore. But VCDL has been for this from the beginning,
Third Circuit's in Philly.
Philly, okay.
Yeah. And modern day Pharaoh is pointing out that this decision could possibly affect the Lautenberg Amendment. I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's misdemeanors. And there has been a recent challenge to the Lautenberg Amendment, which, oh my goodness, first off, the Lautenberg Amendment takes away rights for a misdemeanor. So
tell people what it is.
A misdemeanor is a minor crime. And yes, felony abuse, felony assault, absolutely take someone's, that needs to be addressed. But a misdemeanor is a minor crime. And in addition to that, the Lautenberg Amendment made it retroactive. So if you pled no contest to, in a divorce situation, and you were accused of something and it was more expensive to fight it, it just wasn't worth it because it was a misdemeanor. So then all of a sudden they changed the law, and something that happened 10 years ago, and now you can't own a gun.
Yeah, it's got to go. That was, I was just disappointed when the Republicans controlled everything, the presidency, Congress, and the Senate. They didn't do anything. They didn't even try to repeal that. That is such a mess. So he's right in the sense that modern day Pharaoh is that if they're doing it for nonviolent felonies, that sure should lock up. I mean, that sure should open up the gates for any kind of misdemeanor, regardless of whether it's a violent. And of course, this is the opposite of what the gun control crowd wants. They're pushing more and more for a misdemeanor of any kind of violence to take away your gun rights for some period of time, if not permanently. Oh, well, if you have a history that you punched your brother, then you should lose your gun rights. You should never have gun rights. That's how they are. So this is the opposite of what they want. Again, it's going in our right direction.
So Odie's asking if there's such a thing as a felony misdemeanor.
There is a misdemeanor if the misdemeanor is for more than 1 year in jail, and some we don't have any of those in Virginia, but Maryland has misdemeanors you can get that you can go to jail for 2 years. If you get one of those, that's treated like a felony as far as the government goes, as far as your gun rights. But we don't have any in Virginia. But we have violent and nonviolent felonies. That's the difference. And that's a big difference. Somebody that goes around shooting people as opposed to somebody that wrote a hot check 10 years ago. Two very different situations. The person who wrote the hot check, for example, they've been punished. They've either been to jail, they probably had to pay restitution. They did whatever it was that was required of them. And so they should have their rights back.
And,
if they do it again, they lose them again.
Going back to the Lautenberg Amendment, there are some places where just simply yelling at your significant other, your spouse, whatever, is considered domestic abuse.
Sure, you could throw a pillow.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many things that it covers that it's just absolutely mind-boggling. You know, on the surface, it looks good. We want to protect people from domestic violence, but when does it cross the threshold into violence? That's the key there.
Yeah. And again, even so, if it's a minor violence, the point is the simple way to look at it is with the Lautenberg thing is if the state looked at what you did and said it was minor, it was a misdemeanor, then it couldn't have been much. I'm pretty sure if you had hit your spouse over the head with a frying pan and knocked them unconscious, that probably wasn't going to be a misdemeanor. You were going to be a felon for having done that, and a violent felon for having done that. It's a whole different category. So again, the whole idea that it's a minor crime, I don't care if it's a crime of violence, because say somebody slaps somebody. Oh no, you should lose your gun rights forever because you slapped somebody. Come on. You know, slapping does not change your life. They give you a red cheek for a while. And if they do serious harm, yeah, you hit somebody with your fist and you break their nose, that changes everything. But yeah,
Yep.
again, we got to fix this. Um, let's see. We're now mark your calendars on July 22nd in Winchester, the city of Winchester. We're going to have a picnic
In a
and
park.
in a park, the place that they said we couldn't have picnics or do anything with a gun in a park. Well, we took them to court. We won. They got rid of that ordinance, so you can carry guns in Winchester's parks, and there's nothing they can do about it. And there never should have been anything they could have done about it. And the details will be where it's going to be, and everything will be in the alert that's coming out. I don't have it right in front of me. Doesn't matter. Just check the alert. It'll be, or check our website on the calendar. It'll be on the calendar and everywhere else. So I'm really looking forward to this. We haven't done one of these in a while, and this is celebratory. So I'd like to make it a really, really big picnic. So if you want to be a part of that, even if you don't live in Winchester and you feel like a nice drive in the middle of summer to head out and have a picnic with your fellow gun owners in Winchester, let's just flood that park. Let's
Yep.
dominate it, and people
It's a
celebrating and
beautiful
having a
lake.
good time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So please come on out. I'd love to see you guys. And you don't have to live out there. Come on out. I'll be driving out from Central Virginia.
And if you're around Louisa, my neck of the woods, on July 8th, there's a bowling pin match. And that's another really fun shooting event. So you want to
Absolutely.
explain how those work, Philip?
Yeah. The way it works is they have 6 people shooting. They have 6 tables set up, and one person at each table shooting across to another table that's got bowling pins set on it. It's 5 pins. And you're competing. The first one to knock all their pins off the table. In other words, the first person to have their last pin hit the ground is the winner. So it's a combination of speed and accuracy again. If you take your time with each slow shot, somebody else is going to have gone faster, and yeah, you'll clear the table, but you won't win. If you shoot too fast, then you're going to be missing a lot, and you're not penalized for the miss except in time. Now, the other thing is if you have a poor hit, the bowling pin could fall on its side. You got to get it off the table. So you've got to shoot it off the table, even though it's laying on the table on its side. Or even worse, the head could be facing you. Now you got to hit the head of that bowling pin and knock it off the table. It goes. I mean, it will go if you hit it, but it sharpens your shooting skills. But
And that's a
it's
little teeny,
a bowling
tiny
pin head.
target
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's 15 yards, something like that.
I
And
think so.
it's just the competition is a lot of fun. And again, it's the same thing. And you shoot till you're happy. In other words, if you want to sit there and shoot for after you've lost and keep going to clear the table, you're free to do that. And it's your ammo.
Odie says he's too good of a shot to enter the bowling pin match. So, and you can shoot any caliber in that bowling pin match. The 22s, they put the pins all the way at the back of the table. 45s, they put them at the front of the table. 9mm, 38s, they put them in the middle of the table.
No,
So
actually, they're
that
at the
kind of,
back of the table. They're at the
oh,
back
are
too with
they?
the 22. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
22s at the back, yeah.
both of them are at the
Um,
back, and the front is the
okay.
40 and 45 because it's more powerful. Now, as the
Uh-huh.
day wears on, they take the 40 and 45 and put them at the back because the bowling pins start to fill up with lead as you're shooting. Yeah, they get heavier.
Yeah,
So finally, they
they
go,
get
okay, to
heavy.
make it fair, they put them at the end. But
Yeah.
again, it's a lot of fun. Everybody has a good time, whether you win or lose. And if you win, it's $5 to shoot a round, you know.
Uh-huh.
And if you
And
win,
if
you can take $10, or because it's always for charity, what most people do is they say, yeah, keep the winnings. I'll hang on to you get a slip with all your competitors' names on it with your name circled. And that's your bragging rights that you can tuck in your pocket and have all these slips hanging out. So how many times you kicked everybody's rear end. It's fun.
and a lot of times at the very end they have a shoot, just kind of a demonstration shoot, semi-auto against full auto.
Yeah,
And
machine guns,
which one do you think wins that? Almost every
semi-auto,
time. A
semi-auto.
semi-auto, yeah.
Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yep.
sometimes they'll set off tannerite at the very end. They'll have a thing
Uh-huh.
way away and shoot set off tannerite, or they'll have you'll have a chance to shoot at some steel. Oh, and if you have a tie, they have a thing called a Texas Star. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they do a shoot off with the Texas Star, and they time it, and it's basically the Texas Star is like I think it's 5 plates on a circular wheel. And at first it's sitting stable. As soon as you shoot a steel target off, then the wheel's not balanced and it starts to move. And now you got to shoot these other targets off while they're moving. And as you shoot them off, it starts moving faster. So if you haven't ever shot a Texas Star, you got to do that too. That is a whole lot of fun. Um, yeah, somebody suggested who is that? Uh, they were suggesting that Odie shoot blindfolded. Yeah, he said
Yeah.
maybe Todd will have Odie shoot blindfolded, so it's fair to everybody else, I
Yeah.
guess. Blindfolded, stand on one
Wrenchhead
leg,
said
shoot
that. Yeah.
upside. Yeah, wrench heads. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So Odie, if you're that good, you need to sign up for the Top Gun match that's coming up in
Yes,
August. The
you can win
VCDL pack,
$1,000.
third annual Top Gun match is coming up in August. It's on the calendar. I want to say it's the 17th, but let me just double check real quick so I don't give you the wrong date. The 19th. So August 19th, out at the farm in Powhatan where we've had it the 2 prior years. That one is a dueling tree competition. So a dueling tree is a metal pole with 6 steel targets, and when you hit the target, it flips over to the other side. So the object is to get the most targets onto your opponent's side of the pole, and then you move on to the next round, and it's a double elimination. So if you have a bad run the first time, you get a second chance. But it's $125 to compete, and the top gun wins $1,000. And I'll be making a trophy again this year. I make pottery, so I make ceramic trophies every year. And the runner-up gets a cash prize also, but this is put on by the VCDL pack, and it's their annual big fundraiser. This year is uber important. We've got the entire General Assembly up for re-election, so they need every red cent they can in their coffers. So jump onto vcdl.org and go to the event page and look at the Top Gun. So Odie,
Yeah.
we'll expect to see you there.
Yes, I'll be looking for your name to make sure you're there. Come up and say hello, and then we will videotape your shooting so we can show it to everybody.
Yeah, and if you don't want to compete but you want to support, you can also pay a smaller fee. I think it's $35, and just come and attend, cheer on the competitors, enjoy a nice barbecue lunch. This year, we've got something new. People that are coming long distances and want to camp out, or just people in the area that want to camp out on the property, can show up at 4 o'clock Friday before, camp on the property. They'll have a bonfire. It's on the river, so you can do a little fishing. Like, there's a sandy beach, there's a pond with a paddle boat. Um, you get maybe a little practice with the dueling tree in the night before. So um, there's no official charge for that, but it's nice if you make a little extra donation. And it's what we're calling primitive camping. There's no hookups or anything like that. Bring your own food, but there will be fresh water and the porta johns available to people. So
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So
yeah,
it was our third. This is the third time.
this is the third annual.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, cool. Yeah, you don't want to miss that either. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. Definitely. One thing about the shooting sports, if you really enjoy the shooting sports, there's something going on
Uh-huh.
somewhere in the state every weekend.
And the
Um,
King George 4-H puts on a sporting clades demo at this Top Gun event. And if you've never shot sporting clays, they'll coach you through it and you can try your hand at it. If you have shot sporting clays, you can do a little plinking at the event. And if you're not competing, but you want to try the dueling trees, you can also challenge someone, where you walk up and say, I challenge you for $20 to match on the dueling trees, and whoever loses pays $20 donation to the pack.
yeah,
So
you can challenge me if you want.
yep.
I like dueling trees. They're a lot of fun. So yeah, you definitely mark your calendars for that, and that it helps a good cause. Protecting your rights through the pack, getting the right people elected.
Yep.
Um, the NRA has invited VCDL to have a table at a grassroots event they're going to have in Virginia Beach. It's going to be on June 17th at the Delta Hotel, 2800 Share Drive is what I've got, Virginia Beach. There'll be information in the alert on that. So that's the NRA in Virginia has been working with VCDL. We have a good working relationship, and this is something fairly new. But I have come to attended a few of their things, and they were very nice about inviting me up front. I didn't ask, invited me up front to address the people there. It's their event, but they were nice about that. So we're all working in the same direction, and this is for grassroots. So if you're interested, that'll be on the website. I got a communication from somebody that knows Jen Kiggins, the representative, congressional representative from around the Tidewater area, and we had asked people to contact her, saying, "Why haven't you co-sponsored HJ Resolution, House Joint Resolution 44, which is one that basically where the House and hopefully maybe the Senate will also say to the ATF, you have no authority to be making law. This thing you're doing with the pistol braces is not legal. You can't do that." So it turned out that in her case, it was just a matter of timing. She says she'll happily vote for that if it gets to the floor, but she just didn't co-sponsor it. She doesn't have to co-sponsor it for it to get to the floor. And it is apparently all the pressure you guys are putting on people about this whole issue of braces is paid off. My understanding is it's going to come up for a vote. They were trying to dodge it, but it's going to come up for a vote, I think, this week coming up. So we'll be watching to see how everybody votes. So apparently Jen Higgins is that she will, she'll vote correctly.
Yeah.
And I would have expected that, but you're sure when you actually see the vote come down.
Well, she was good in the General Assembly, so
Yeah. I mean, I would think that's why it was odd, but I thought it was important she hear from us. That should the Democrats. I don't care. Democrats should be doing the right thing too. I don't want to just pick on Republicans. All these Democrats pushing for gun control. You can't give them a slide on any of that. They shouldn't be doing any of it. and they should be hit every bit as harder, for their stance on gun control as any Republican.
So, yeah, I mean, this is a prime example of grassroots in action. The fact that everybody's been putting pressure on Congress to bring this to the floor. They can't just sweep it under the rug because there's just too much attention. And they know the attention is there because people are contacting them. Odie points out that banning pistol braces is like banning rifle buttstocks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like banning rubber bands, to be honest with you. A pistol brace in and of itself doesn't do anything. It's just a piece of plastic. The bump stock ban was a prime example of banning an inanimate object that really can't do anything. Honestly, it doesn't do anything even when you attach it to a rifle that you can't do without it. It just makes it a little bit easier for some people. So and again, I'll go back to the fact that the Second Amendment doesn't have, it says shall not be infringed. It doesn't say shall not be infringed except for this, that, or the other.
Yeah, except for a piece of plastic. Yeah, absolutely. And Al's getting photobombed by his cat. Keep kidding. I like cats. But anyhow, let's see. What have we got here? Oh, by the way, I had to laugh at you, Pat, because you put an image in my mind. We were talking about the House floor, and you're talking about sweeping it under the rug. So I think symbolically, on the House floor in D.C., they should put a rug on the floor and say, "Now we're going to."
Maybe we should send one. Maybe we should send one to Congress and say,
for gun control bills, sweep your gun control bills under this rug and get rid of them.
Yeah,
I like that.
The official sweep under rug, yes. Yeah, so, Odie, 2.5% of the population bullying Congress. It was about 2% of the population that actually started the Revolutionary War and were the birth of the nation, the United States of America as we know it. So don't discount that 2.5%.
I think politicians also look at a number like that and say, okay, for every person that calls me, that there might be 10 other people that are also angry about this but didn't call me. So therefore, they don't look at that 3%. It's just 3%. They're looking at going, that's probably 30%, if we're getting that many people getting off their tail and actually calling us, oh boy, that's amazing.
Right.
That's the way to go. Was there anything? Go ahead.
By the way, Al Evans, you see his title there, Student Engagement with VCDL Academy. He's been working really hard to get younger people, older high school, college age, young adults involved in protecting our right to keep and bear arms. So working on putting together an internship program and educational series. Al and Philip and I have been really brainstorming lately. So, Al, you want to talk about why it's so important to get these younger adults and older teenagers involved in this?
Yeah, most definitely. For everybody who I haven't met or I haven't had the pleasure of being introduced to yet, my name is Al Evans. I am the Youth Engagement Coordinator Director for VCDL Academy. Particularly, why it's important for us to target young people specifically, because not only in this, obviously with the Second Amendment, but kind of with conservative ideas in general, we've had a very rough time trying to actually reach out to young people. I could list off a couple of people who are trying to do this, but in general, it really hasn't been that successful. And we've been seeing this through, election results, but also just kind of culturally, when it comes to guns. I mean, if somebody grew up their entire life and they've only been told guns are bad. Only bad people would ever want to have them, and things like that. We can't expect them to just, one day just say, "Oh yeah, now I'm for the Second Amendment." We actually need to converse with them, to talk with them, and really just straight up, the left has been extremely effective at messaging to young people really for the last 30 to 40 years. I mean, I remember a lot of the same kind, or I shouldn't say I remember, but I remember reading about the same issues like back in the 90s with the assault weapons. And, I'm looking at what's going on today, and, they're saying the exact same thing. So why is that able to continue to permeate throughout our culture? It's because the left, they're trying to change the minds of young people who grow up to be older people who will vote to take our rights away if we're not actually trying to talk to them. Um, and so, kind of in that vein, like Pat was saying, we've got the internship that we are starting up. We've got different educational classes that we're looking to roll out throughout the state, um, and really just fight on the battle on the you would say like the cultural battleground that we're on, because until without doing that, we will see the continuing of what's been happening. And I think a really good example of this, unfortunately, is what was going on in Richmond. That honestly, that hits me a little bit close because I graduated from Thomas Jefferson High School. They got their graduation canceled this year. Well, they had to reschedule it because they were the next ones who were going to graduate after Huguenot. But it's like you said, where did that shooting take place? It took place in a gun-free zone.
Yep.
Because there are no gun-free zones.
And
it's
it
only
doesn't even matter if it's a shooting, a stabbing, a car that runs through a crowd of people. It was an assault, an attack. And there are bad people in the world, and good people need to have a way to defend themselves against bad people.
Exactly.
So it's not the item that they use to attack somebody that needs to be demonized. It's the demon themselves. And so Husky Mom was saying she's in Loudon, and it's becoming like Fairfax. Let's see, we have to be out there with the high schoolers and college students. And as Al says, the anti-2 Second Amendments have done a very good job at indoctrination. So we need to start working with our school boards. We need to start working with our PTAs. And so it starts with us, reaching out and finding where the younger people are hanging out and talking to them. One of the things that Al has suggested is that if we can take these younger adults to the range and teach them how to safely use firearms and teach them the love of the shooting sports, IDPA matches, bowling pin matches, things like that, and get them involved. The 4-H shooting sports, the VCDL for I think 4 years now has sponsored the King George 4-H. They've got a great group of kids that do shotgun competitions. And when you learn something like a shooting sport that requires respect, accountability, and following certain safety rules and things like that, it teaches you skills that will not just shooting skills, but fundamental skills that you'll use all through life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And
I was,
it's also, oh, I was just going to say, it's important as well. We like I said, people who grow up, they've never even held a gun before, right? So they only see like maybe on movies and stuff like that. Kind of like what Pat was saying, if we get it into their hands in a structured way, it's almost like when it comes to crime in general, the biggest like perpetrators are generally it's going to be young men about 16 to 24. Um, but when there's no like other extracurricular activities, nothing to do productively, that's where we start to see a lot of the unfortunate things that happen in urban environments. And so to really hit it both ways so that we're getting people used to being around guns while also giving them something to do, maybe after school or something like that. I think that's really important.
And something that they value, that they don't want to lose. So
Exactly.
when my son was in high school, he was I want to say he was 15. He started taking flying lessons, and um, or driving or something like that.
I
You
was going to
you
say,
have
that's not how
to
most kids get high.
maintain certain discipline in order to keep those privileges. So, if he didn't keep his grades up in school, he didn't take his flying lessons, and he cared about learning to fly. So he kept his grades up in school and stayed out of trouble. But when people have things that they care about like that, things that they work for, it gives them an incentive to do the right thing, but it also gives them a sense of pride and responsibility. So I'm really excited about the work that the Academy is doing, the groundwork that we're laying here. And I'm looking forward to this program progressing.
Yeah. I was going to put up just the first page of the syllabus for the part that talks about where we'll be teaching young people about the Second Amendment, about the Constitution, about their government, just to give people an idea of what that syllabus looks like. Now, let me see if I can share my screen without goofing this up.
And sure, and Odie says that he'd love to sit down with us and swap thoughts and ideas on how to win. Odie, you can reach the VCDL leadership by emailing leadership@vcdl.org, and you can reach the VCDL Academy. That's Philip and Al and I at academy@vcdl.org. So whichever one you want to work with, send us an email with your thoughts. Volunteers are what make VCDL run. So more than happy to hear your thoughts. Thank you, Odie. Again, we run on volunteers, so reach out, please.
Oops.
Are you able to screen share there, Philip?
I'm not. Yeah, I just have to give. Apparently, I have to give this app permission
Okay.
to do that. Let's see. Screen recording.
I could try to do it.
Okay, yeah, there it is. It's Zoom. It's not Zoom. This is.
No, it's not Zoom.
It's Google Chrome that I'm having to use for that. Okay, I checked that, but it may. Okay. I'll have to. I guess I'll let you do it if you can do it, because otherwise I'm going to have to leave the site and come back in. So I'm going to cancel out. Next time I'll be able to do this.
Why don't we save that for next time?
Okay.
And,
all right.
Let's move on to the mag guts.
Okay. All right.
Well,
so
we got a question about Winchester real quick here.
Okay.
VCDL, are we planning to push lawsuits like the Winchester and other places?
Absolutely. But we have to finish the one we're doing. It's taken us 2 years. Hopefully the next one will go a lot quicker, but this first one is taking a long time to do. We don't want to be running around with something like this not finished, because this lawsuit will set the basis for the future ones. We've already been asking for plaintiffs from Roanoke City, so you can kind of take a guess where we might be looking to go next. We'll be working our way around. Meanwhile, if everybody gets out and votes right, we can repeal the whole thing next year. Or if the judge that's looking at one of our cases says, you know what, this is unconstitutional statewide, and they can do that. They could strike it down for everybody all at once through the courts. And then we could get it repealed on top of that, which would make it even easier to repeal it. But absolutely. But Albemarle's not real high on the list right now. Right next one is probably going to be Roanoke City. Rumble, Pat, I thought we had a presence on Rumble. We don't?
Don't think we have it on Rumble.
Okay.
So when Ed passed away, Ed Levine was our social media director, and we're still recovering accounts from different things that he had set up. I don't think he had it on Rumble, and the software that we're using does not stream to Rumble and show us comments like it does with the comments from Facebook and YouTube. At this point, they may add Rumble in the future. Part of the issue too, though, is that when we stream to all of these different destinations, like I was streaming to Twitch for a while, and it wasn't getting the traction there. It's just spreads us so thin that, you guys on the Facebook page can see the comments on the Facebook page, but unless I put them on the screen, you can't see what somebody's commenting from YouTube or what somebody's commenting from the Facebook group. So it's kind of a one-sided conversation for a lot of people. So, we have to pick and choose our platforms where we have the most followers right now.
Yeah. There's a lot of platforms out there, but we're diversified. So if one platform strikes us, we got others we can be on.
Yeah, Odie, but we're still reeling from losing Ed. Nobody would ever be able to fill his shoes in a million years. But, we're all mortals, and we're all going to go sometime. I'm sure Ed's
just
up
a
there.
Surprise.
Yeah, I'm sure he's up there taking selfies with God. So,
yeah.
I look forward to seeing all the pictures when I get up there. Okay. So anyway, Mag Guts. What are Mag Guts?
All right. Well, Mag Guts is a company that they do have a product for a variety of manufacturers. They have products for SIG and Glock and a bunch of other manufacturers. What they do is they take your standard magazine, which is kind of hard to see here, but this is a SIG P365. This is a 10 round for the smallest 365. Hold on, let me get this up here. And what it does is they replace the follower, they replace the spring inside, and they replace the base plate. And so it's just a teeny weeny bit bigger, but it gives you 2 more shots. So this 10 round magazine is now a 12 round magazine, making my little pocket gun 12 plus 1 or 13 shot pocket gun instead of a 10 shot. But basically, it's just a fraction of an inch bigger. I really can't tell easily. So what they do, and I think Pat will probably be able to share a photo of it. What they do is pretty clever. They change the follower, and I think the follower is metal, so they can make it real thin compared to a plastic that has to be thicker to be as durable. So they make the follower thinner. They change the spring. The spring in a normal 365 magazine is a coiled spring. And what they do is they make one of these zigzag springs. I don't know what they call that, but it's a spring that just zigzags. And you can see the picture Pat's put up there. And so those are the components you get. So you take out your follower, your spring, and your base plate. You replace the guts with that, and voila, you've got a +2. And if you got the SIG 365, they also do a +2 for the 12 round. So if you've got the XL model, now you've got 14 or total 14 plus 1 or a total of 15 shots in the XL model, which is still a pretty small gun,
Right.
and to have 15 shots in it. And
And
they
they
also
do +2 for the 15 round. They also make them for little teeny tiny guns like the little Caltech P32 or P3AT.
P380.
So, mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, so they have a ton of guns that they do on their website. It's I think it's about $35 for the kit to change your bags, and the nice thing is it doesn't add any extra length to speak of, nothing noticeable to the magazine. So if you have a gun that you carry in your pocket and you don't want to carry, like the P365, the SIG P365 with the 10 round mag fits in a man's pocket. Women's pockets are like little teeny tiny, so
Yeah.
we can't fit anything in
Why
there but a
bother?
quarter. Yeah. So, but a man's pocket can easily put the P365 in there, but you wouldn't want to do it with the 12 round magazine, which sticks out about almost an inch longer. But with the mag guts, you can carry the 12 rounds plus one in the pipe and still put it in your pocket
Yeah.
comfortably.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and they
One
work.
difference, but yeah, when you look, well, I was going to comment on that too. Yeah, when you look, that little the little dot here, gold dot, that tells me that that's a mag guts. Normally, that's just flat black for my other mags. And what I did, I wouldn't be talking about this if I hadn't tested the hell out of it. What I did was I ordered some for my guns. I also ordered one for my range bag. And every time I shoot my SIG, and I go out every weekend. I've probably put 1,000 rounds through one of these, at least a minimum of that, and with no hiccups at all, absolutely zero problems. So it's because I wanted to see what would happen with that spring if we use it over and over and over. Because compressing a spring and keeping it compressed is not hard on the spring. It's when you release the spring and close it, release it and close it. That doing that will wear a spring down. But it has it's been about a year now, I guess. Nothing. I love it. It works great. It's in my carry guns. I trust my life with it. Um,
Yep. Odie,
and when
they've
you
got
do,
them for the LCP, and the website is magguts.com, magguts.com. So,
and when you get one of these, sometimes it can be a little tight at first to get your round in. So what you do is I load the mag when I first get it and put it in the gun with the slide closed, because what you're trying to do is get as much pressure on that top round. So you don't want the slide open where there's no pressure on the round. You want it closed. The gun could be unloaded, closed, and then lock your magazine in place, and that puts extra pressure. After half a day or a day, it's the tightness is down to a more reasonable level. I had to do the same thing with my brand new SIG comp magazines. Or not comp, the what is it?
the
17
17
round.
rounders. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
last round is a bear to get in there,
But
even with a
once,
Lula loader.
yes, but once you put in your gun that way, fully loaded, and slam it into place and let it sit overnight, you'll find it'll lighten up. It's at a little patience.
Yep.
So we were talking about that. The other thing was that I saw a good video, and one of our members recommended this. But some people, it gets to the point when you get older, or maybe you're a petite female that doesn't have real strong hands. Racking the slide on a gun is really hand strength more than it's any other strength. But maybe a little bit of upper body, but not much. Mostly it's hands. And of course, there are ways to rack a semi-auto that help give you leverage. I think we've talked about that kind of before, where I just typically grab one and slingshot it by racking it. Let me get a blue gun here. So I typically I just grab it like this and rack it, but I've got fairly strong hands. Otherwise, you can of course hold the gun more like this, hold it in, and push this way with one hand and push that way with the other, kind of going towards each other, and that helps give you the strength to rack a fairly heavy slide. But some guns are built to make it easy for you to load them if you don't have the strongest hands in the world. And it's it's a Beretta it's a Gershon, which is a Turkish made EAA Gershon, which is
Yep.
it's a Beretta, kind of a Beretta knockoff. And if you're familiar with the Beretta Tomcat, then you might know where this is going. The way this gun works is there's a lever you hit, and when you hit it, the barrel pops up. It's a semi-auto with a slide, and you could rack the slide to load it, but you don't have to. You hit a button, slide pops up, and you drop in your 380 round, and you click it down. Gun's loaded, ready to rock. Now you put your mag in, you're ready to rock and roll. There's no slide to rack. You want to unload it? Just hit that lever, the barrel pops up, and take the round out. Which also is interesting because if you're going to be loading it, if you're a person that has to load and unload their gun all the time, maybe you're going somewhere that requires you to have an unloaded gun if it's on you, like maybe school property. If you were somebody that had to go onto school property and go in the building and legally had to leave your gun locked up and unloaded in the car. This is interesting because most semi-autos, you have to rack the slide to eject the round, and then you have to rack a slide to get the new round loaded. And when you do that, the round you're loading hits the feed ramp and then goes in. And if you do that over and over, some rounds will begin, the bullet will begin to push inside the casing. And that's not good. This gun it's like a revolver. It puts no pressure on the round itself when you load and unload. It's just simply dropping in and dropping out. So did you have a photo of that one, Pat? You could put up? Oh, you
Yeah,
got
it's
it.
up on the screen.
Okay, so you can see how that works. So again, I've never tried this gun, but I know somebody was very happy with it, and I watched the video on it. And again, it's a Tomcat style concept, and I don't think they have it in 9mm. It's probably 9mm is probably just a little too powerful for that kind of mechanism. But the 380,
Yeah, they have it in 380. So there were a number of companies that used to make the little tip-up barrel in the 380, but most of the, like Taurus used to, but now Taurus only does the 22. And the Beretta Tomcat is almost impossible to find. I haven't
and that's
put my
only in
hands.
32. Isn't it,
Yeah.
Pat? Isn't it? It's only a 32 caliber, I think, or a 22 as well.
22 and 32, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they
So
did a 380.
I don't think so, but we just lost Al. Uh-oh. So, but the Gersons, I've had several of them come through the store in other models, not this MC14T, but I've seen other ones come through and sold quite a few of them, and everybody loves them. The quality seems fine.
Yeah.
So,
That's just something I wanted to throw out there because I know it's a discussion
yeah,
I've had with some people. They say, yeah, I can't rack the slide like I used to. And this is a solution if you want
yeah,
a semi-auto. And again, semi-autos have their advantages. The fact that you could slam another magazine in there.
yeah, they do. They do. And, not everybody, I mean, somebody may have arthritis, somebody may have an injury. There's any number of reasons why someone has diminished hand strength. I sell something called a handy racker
hmm
that you put on top of the slide and you put it against a hard surface, and then you can push the gun and it racks the slide. But you have to have a hard surface to put it against, and you have to have that thing with you. So, if you're out and about, you don't necessarily have your shooting bag with you.
But
So
that's
these,
a good thing to have in your bag, Pat, because
uh-huh,
have you ever had a round get stuck and you're
I
trying to
have,
rack the slide and you don't,
yeah,
it takes a lot of hand strength and everything. That thing, you just put that on top and push it into a table or into a pole or
right,
something.
yeah. So
And
a live round that maybe has a bulged case or something like that and gets jammed not all the way in battery and you can't get it out. We've had that happen at the range several times. So the handy racker is a great thing to have in your shooting bag for situations like that, because you can safely put a lot of force on it with it up against a hard surface that's in a safe direction. So very useful tool to have, and they're inexpensive. So,
all right, well, we're getting a little late in time here. Let's see something.
let's
So Tanya
see.
Black says she has a question.
Yeah, let's get that on the screen. So she says she's a citizen of Roanoke City, and city council solution to gun violence is a joke. My question is with the banning of pistol braces. So I'm not
What's your
sure what your
question?
question is.
Yeah, follow up with your question real quick.
Yeah, and so my answer to people that say we need to stop gun violence is either so you're not worried about other kinds of violence, or you know, what is it that you want to stop, the guns or the violence? Because if you want to stop violence, then don't deprive good people of the ability to defend themselves against it.
My argument is we put you want to stop violence, put the violent people in jail.
Yeah, and
That'll
leave them
stop
there.
it.
Quit
It
quit turning
stops.
them out
It
on the
stops.
street. Yeah.
Because yeah, in reality, it's the same people. It's a small group of people doing the same stuff over and over and over. It's a small fraction of the people that live in the city, and most of them live in specific areas of the city. Put them
Yep.
away, and it's a better, even though it costs money to do that, it's worth it. Saves lives left and right, but they don't want to do that. So we got to. So guns still become a major thing for us to protect
Yep.
ourselves. I don't see
So
any question of what you wanted to
yeah,
know about pistol
I
play.
don't see her follow up. We'll give it another minute or so here, but on the pistol braces. So there have been 3 injunctions. Okay, let's see. What if you have a custom sword with arm
Well,
braces?
swords aren't controlled, so
Yeah,
we could do it. Yeah,
and that's not a pistol brace, so it's not covered by the pistol
gotta be
brace
gotta be a
rule.
short barrel. Gotta be a pistol with a brace on it.
Hmm.
And their argument
Right,
is that makes it into a short barreled rifle.
right.
Um,
And so there's been 3 injunctions on the pistol brace. And I think one of our board members, Gilbert Ambler, just put out a video today on YouTube about it. I haven't had a chance to watch it because I was out having fun at the range.
yeah,
But
yeah, I haven't seen it either.
so if you are a resident of Texas, a member of Gun Owners of America, a member of Second Amendment Foundation, or a member of the Firearms Policy
The
Coalition,
coalition. Mhm.
yeah, then you are covered by one of those 3 injunctions.
For now.
Other than
Now, keep in
for
mind
now,
that could be
yeah.
overturned by a
Hmm.
higher court. Could say, "Oh no," and then it could all be gone, and you could be back into, "Oh boy, I better do something with my brace." But for now, if you're a member of those, you're covered. But it could change.
Yep.
Hopefully not. If it gets to the Supreme
Yeah.
Court and they confirm it, that would be good.
So I'm wondering, Live for the Lord says Lynchburg leaders reacted to recent gun violence by establishing, there's that gun violence thing again, by
Yeah.
establishing a 6-month curfew for almost all teenagers, 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. So, I'm wondering what these teenagers are doing with guns because they're like not old enough to buy them. But,
Yeah, and
you know,
I wonder if that goes to 18, less than 18, I would assume. I'm assuming you're not telling an adult at 18 that they have a curfew, but I don't know.
yeah.
I haven't seen the ordinance.
Yeah, I guess 19 is still a teenager, and you can buy long guns at 19,
Yeah,
and um,
I don't think they would put a
and
curfew on, but I don't
handguns at a
know.
private sale. But so that's virtue signaling. It's not something that's really addressing the problem. It's just something that they can say, "Oh, well, we're doing something," and
Yeah, I guess in thinking about that, Pat, yeah, if it's like 15 or 16, maybe a 17-year-old, they probably don't have any business out without their parents around at 11 o'clock at night. They shouldn't be running around. So I could see that for somebody that's still an unemancipated teenager. And that way, also, if they're out at that hour, that allows the police they then have the ability to take them and take them either home or whatever, but they can keep them from being out. Yeah, I don't have a problem. Now, for an adult, I have a problem, but for saying a
well,
high school age kid out after
there's
11 by himself, I have a problem.
there's a lot of reasons why a high school age kid might be out after 11, but that's a whole nother discussion. And Odie, yes, I am that old that I remember when they came on TV and said, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah.
So,
Not me. Gee, when did they do that?
so Odie's giving away his age as well.
Yes, he is.
Anyway, it's almost 9:30, and I know where
Yeah,
my
it's time.
children are.
Yeah.
They're both grown and moved out, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I don't have any, so I don't have to worry about that.
we've droned on long enough, I think. Do you have anything else for to bring up, Philip, or that you want to
I don't.
address?
We'll do that. We'll do this. Oh, one more thing. Somebody asked about Prince William County. Les asked about Prince William County, way up above somewhere.
Okay.
We don't know anything new yet. I'll let you know when I hear something new. I'm hoping that they've been bombarded, but I haven't heard one way or the other. If I'm hoping all you guys that are in Prince William or affected by this have been contacting the Board of Supervisors. If you haven't, if you're thinking somebody else will do it for you, then maybe they're not getting much, because then everybody's thinking somebody else will carry their water. But if you've contacted them, and a lot of you've done it, then they're getting pounded. I just don't know at this time. But as soon as we hear something, and the thing is, it was 2 weeks. It wasn't. They just had last week their board meeting, a board of supervisors meeting, and they didn't have it on the agenda, so it wasn't there. If this was going to come up, it's probably going to come up next week. And their next regular board meeting, and it wouldn't be voted on then. This would be brought up, but that's a good time to be there in person if it's gonna be on the agenda and come up to speak against it right then and there before they even go to the next step, which is to put out a notice that they're going to have a hearing on that proposed ordinance. The quicker we take this down, the safer it is. Thinking, well, we'll wait till they actually have a vote on it. No, no. You don't want to wait till then, because if you don't make that, then it becomes an ordinance, and now everybody in Prince William is stuck with all this gun control. So
Yep. And
we need to
by
step
the
up now.
way, these localities have regularly scheduled meetings, and they have to post their agenda before the meeting. Most of them post them online, so you can set on your calendar, mark your phone to ping you, and go online and look at the agenda and just scan through it and watch for any sort of gun control at your locality. Let us know if you see something going on.
We have two people monitoring Prince William right now that live there, that are what we call the watch team for local government. But even then, something can slip through the cracks. It's happened in other parts of the state where, even though we had somebody watching, they blinked or something and didn't see something go by. So if you see something, let me know. If I get overwhelmed with calls, or with emails, that's fine. I'd rather have too many emails than telling me about something than no emails and let something slip through the cracks.
So, Tanya, braces for swords are not prohibited by the pistol brace rule. That's not covered.
So if you have a hard time holding a sword, you can get a brace for it. You're good.
Yep.
Although I wonder if it changes the stiletto into a sword. I mean, it's like taking the same stupid pistol into rifle. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it changes the stiletto into a short-barreled sword, a short-shafted sword. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, you're good.
I don't know. Yep. All right, folks, that's it for us. You guys have a great evening and a great week. And one more thing. Thursday, this coming week, is the in-person meeting in Ashburn at the XCal Shooting Range and Fitness Center. So all of you guys that are up that way, come see us. It's a great meeting. We'll see you then.
Beautiful facility. We'll see you then.
Yep. Come early and bust a cap.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice range.
We'll see you on the next one.
Good night, guys.